Dr. G.
Last week was heavy.
You know what?
It's
I
so
look at it this
heavy.
way. It was
Ooh.
you sharing your story of going from pain to purpose.
Yeah.
And it is so important for people, especially women, to understand that, life's challenges can be transformed into
Yeah.
good. And as the scripture says, the enemy may have meant it for evil, but God can use it for
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely.
And that's what I feel you bravely and boldly shared your story last week.
Ooh, girl, let me tell you.
And I think we need to just share some authentic tips about how you made it through. Because I know it was heavy for you. And I'm so
Girl,
proud of you.
yes, well, thank you. Yeah, hello, vibrant women out there. We hope you've been having a vibrant life. As you see, if I guess we won't assume that everybody just watching everyone. This may be
Yeah.
your first episode that
Yeah,
you're
welcome
seeing
to
of
Vibrant
us.
Womanhood. I'm
Yeah.
Pastor Renee.
Yeah, and I'm Dr. G. So, we're here combining faith and psychology together to help you walk this journey of womanhood.
Yeah.
Because we're of a certain age and we've been through a whole lot of stuff in our life. A whole lot of
Emotionally,
stuff.
spiritually, and personally.
We've been through some stuff.
We've been through a
and
lot.
so
Yeah.
we want to share to make your life easier. Any kind of way that we can do that, that's why we're here.
Yeah,
That's
just to
what
have the
God has called us to
conversation
do.
about experiences and to be able to share resources and opportunities for you to, perhaps stop what you're doing now and redirect. That's what I
absolutely.
love about the maturity or the place we're in life. I've learned, if nothing else, that I can stop, pray, and trust God to redirect me with new things, people, resources, different beliefs.
Get on a different
Yeah,
pathway.
just on a different path.
And before we forget, please hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our channel
Yes.
and share this with your friends.
Please, yeah.
Subscribe because we're just getting started. I
Yeah.
mean, we got a lot. We have a lot to talk with you about, and y'all have a lot to talk with us about because we've been hearing a lot of comments and a lot of things. Feel free to leave your comments below as well. Make sure that you've joined the Facebook group, Vibrant Womanhood. Some of you all just catch us on YouTube and other people catch us through Facebook. But we're creating a community, and I think that's real important, is that you have a community where you can share. We're not going to have the cattiness. We're not going to have all of that extra stuff that goes on. We're just trying to get to the place where we can be vibrant.
Right,
okay?
right.
And I'm going to remind y'all what vibrant is. Vivacious. Living that vivacious, energetic life. Invincible, that when you fall down, and I think I kind of shared that last time, the invincible, that you're not broken, you can get back up.
Absolutely.
Be brave. I shared that too, being brave. Even though you don't want to do stuff, you still do it, having the courage to just move forward.
Yeah.
Even if you have some fear, then we have the R, which is radiant. Please, the radiant about your energy, what you radiate out there.
What you give off, people see it. Yeah.
Some of us keep attracting men and women, the same kind of people in
yeah.
your life because of what you're giving off. So radiant, and then we have the nice. I just want some of y'all to know how to be nice.
Yeah, it makes a huge
Oh,
difference.
A, I forgot the A.
Oh.
Authentic. I forgot the A last time too. Authentic. Now that's what we really struggle with, is being authentic as women.
Yeah.
So being authentic,
Yeah.
A, and then N. Somebody's good.
Okay, what is she spelling? Like, we lost track.
N is for nice, vibrant, being nice. We're gonna do a whole show on how to be nice, and then
Oh my
and then the
God.
T is trustworthy.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
That's
I forgot.
good. But you know what? It is really okay.
It is.
Because again, if we're going to be our authentic selves and if we're going
Yes.
to be vulnerable,
That is so funny.
we're not going to stop and pause and reshoot, right?
Yeah,
we're going
we
to
just
be
look. We just
authentically
having
ourselves.
conversation,
Yeah, we're just
and
talking.
whatever
Yeah.
happens in here happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm so excited to create with you this sacred sister space.
Yes.
It's so needed. In fact, I didn't realize, as a pastor of 36 years and being around people all the time, I didn't realize how much I needed that space where I could just be myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to you, we want you to join our community, just saying, hey, I can be myself, Now, you still have to use wisdom, right? You can't, put it out there for everybody, but we're willing to pull back our layers
Yes.
and to speak our truths, to own our truths, and share with you how we've made it through. Like, even today, um, the last episode was what I call a heavy.
Yes,
You really
it was
shared
very
a
heavy.
lot about, your journey. And I thought it would be really, really great today going back to using that phrase from pain to purpose, because some people just refuse to come out of that place of pain.
What?
Even if they have, let me say this, because I see
Right.
you going into that psychology mode. She's like, wait a minute. Um, Even if they know and believe that they can find better on the other side, something still grips them to not move into that space to come out of where they are. And I've got some strong thoughts on that as well, just because of my experiences. But when you shared about, the loss of 3 children, um, not coming up in a environment that believed in going to the doctor, that had rules and regulations that affected the way you were brought up in your spiritual journey, and then just unveiling to us, just in summary, what you literally had to walk through, fighting depression, people not knowing what to say to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was overwhelmed for you, and
Oh
I've
my
been
God.
through a lot. But now, as a psychologist, because you've gone from your pain to your purpose, why don't we just allow you to share? Let's start with overcoming. What are some steps that people can do just to overcome? Because again, we read the scripture, in this life you're going to have troubles, but we have to learn how to move beyond where we are.
Well, look, I can't even get past because when you said we did heavy, I'm a dream girls. It's so heavy, baby. It's so heavy. Y'all remember that. Y'all can appreciate that if y'all watch Dream Girls over and over again like
Yeah,
we
go back and
did.
watch the movie.
They got to
Yeah.
watch the movie. But yeah, so the heavy part of life that we
Mm-hmm.
have to do something with. I don't think there are a few people
Mm-hmm.
that want to stay stuck. But
Mm-hmm.
most people don't. Most people want to have a good life. Most
Mm-hmm.
people want to be better. They just don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know where to go to learn how.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that is very few places. I think it's very few people in the authenticity of it
Mm-hmm.
that can help you through.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, the experiences itself, because if I hadn't gone through everything that I've
Mm-hmm.
gone through and my life had just been kind of okay. Some people just have okay lives. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
these heavy stories. They don't have this
Very
depthness.
true. So we're
And
not we're not
so
insinuating everyone has a heavy,
so but no, but what I'm saying
but for those that
is that
do,
is that because all of us, our journeys are different. We all
mm-hmm.
have different crosses to bear.
Right.
Some people's life is so very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with clients who I just don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I help them, but I don't know how prior to me
Mm-hmm.
being able to do the authentic help
Mm-hmm.
and the non-traditional
Yeah.
counseling that I
Yeah.
do. I don't do it the ways that traditionally, like I was
Mm-hmm.
attending and I've gone to several times in my life, is somebody to talk to. I actually take
Mm-hmm.
people through their pain.
Yeah.
In order to heal, you got to
Mm-hmm.
walk through that pain.
Yeah.
And because I've been able to craft a way
Mm-hmm.
because of my own experiences
Mm-hmm.
to walk people through pain,
Mm-hmm.
then you come out healed.
Yeah.
You come out, you're going to have your scars, but you
Yeah.
come out healed.
Mm-hmm.
People have to, the people that stay stuck, let me talk about them 1st. I think
Mm-hmm.
the people that stay stuck
Mm-hmm.
is one, people don't know how not to be stuck, and some people grab on to that as their identity. So their
Very
pain
true.
becomes their
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah.
And that's what they identify. So all you
Mm-hmm.
hear them talk about over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
some people just tell their story is their life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they continue to live that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, you don't know what I've been through. I had to do this.
Yeah.
And so that becomes their identity, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to get out of that.
Yeah.
But somehow they've made that work for them. And because when you take on that pain and you become the victim of it. And so a lot of people don't realize the victim mentality,
Mm-hmm.
that everything, because I the way I avoided the victim mentality, it was everything that I had that had to do with me was really about God, and it was really our relationship. So
Yeah.
I felt like he just didn't love me. Because if you loved me, how could you allow all of this stuff to happen to me? And here I was trying to do everything I knew to make you happy. And it felt like a child trying to please their parent, and nothing was ever good enough. So I had that, which didn't make me a victim. It just made me an outcast to God. Okay. So my issue was with him. It wasn't with anybody else. And so that's kind of a different. The rest of people that take on the victim mentality, their circumstances and their family and their mother, their father, their whatever they went through, then becomes their trauma. It becomes their what has happened to them and not through them. Yeah. And so getting to that place of overcoming, you gotta want it first of all. And most of the time people don't even know what that means, overcome. So why don't you tell me what you mean when you say overcome it, and I'll give you a word that I think that can help people.
So when I think about the overcoming part, I think about coming out of that victimization and coming out of whatever that traumatic experience is. I know for me personally, having gone through some traumas publicly, and of course we'll be sharing those in the week to come deeper, okay? Because everybody thinks they know the story, but there's more layers to the story, right?
More layers, absolutely.
So for me, it means being able to re-engage in this life that you are able to live full out and to still make a difference in the lives of others, so that overcoming is not just surviving. See, a lot of times I feel like people just survive, and that's survival means going back to that original state. So you're not really thriving, you're not overcoming, you're not coming out. And so overcoming means I can still own my story. I can tell my story. It's a testimony of how I made it through that, but it's not my identification. It's not the label totally that I wear. I've overcome something that tried to overcome me, if I can just say it that way.
Okay. So because I know we use overcome a lot in the church space, in the spiritual space.
But a lot of people don't really overcome.
But they don't. So
they don't do the work required.
That seems to be a word for us. That seems to be a word.
Yeah, that's
a church
a word
word
for
that's
us.
A church
right.
word.
Yes.
So let me use a word that helps people. It's really a recalibration of your perspective.
Okay.
And that's really, it boils down to looking at life differently.
Yeah.
And so when you can, when you're a GPS, because you don't follow what it says, and it goes rerouting.
Right. It's
rerouting. It recalibrates.
Yeah.
First, it just stands there for a minute, realizing it didn't go that way. Then it goes blank.
Oh my
and
God.
then you'll see it.
Yeah.
And you see it twirling. That's really what I want people to understand, how you get through something.
Right. Well, it's like taking your car to the automotive shop.
Yeah.
And you go in expecting them to run a diagnostic, and then they come back and they tell you what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we don't get everything done. Maybe it's because it's a little too costly, or maybe we're believing, I don't know, sometimes I'm in my car, like my car can push another, 50,000, 100,000 miles without anything happening. But the purpose of that diagnostic is important. It's there to help you determine what needs to be adjusted or adapted or changed or.
Yeah. So, but the diagnostic has to be done yourself. And people have to realize that I'm broken, or I'm not okay, or I'm not healed, or I'm traumatized. Now the word that we use a lot in the industry, with people just now starting to really get it. I've been triggered. All of these things, and you have to understand yourself. And most people do not take the time to do diagnostic, which means they look at yourself and you say, what is wrong with me?
Yeah. So it's a self-awareness.
So it is, yes, it is getting inside of yourself. We call it the introspective thinking. And most people don't intentionally think. Let me just talk about this. They don't intentionally think. We have about 70,000 thoughts that run through our head every single day.
Yeah,
We
that's a
have
lot.
about 70,000
Got a lot
thoughts.
happening.
Most of those thoughts, 80% of those thoughts are negative, first of all. 80% of what you think about is negative. So you only have 20%. Those 20% have to be the intentional thoughts, because the negative, our brain has what is called negativity bias. We thrive on negativity. Your brain is going to focus on what is negative, because that's the way humanly our brains are wired.
Yeah.
And so we focus on the negative. Example, 10 people can tell you that is a beautiful color and it looks great on you. One person comes out and says, oh, your
Not your
skin
color.
kind of went in. And all of a sudden, you looking back in the mirror, you thought you was cute this morning. But you looking back in the mirror, and now
everything
you
about
changes
you.
everything. And you like, well, does it? Now you ask somebody, well, does this kind of blend my skin? And it fades in. It's not. Do you think this is my color? Your brain focused on that one thing. And so your thoughts do too. So the intentionality of your thoughts has to be, and we call it, in our space, we call it metacognition. When you're thinking about where you're thinking. So when you're thinking like, why did I just think that? Why, being that aware of yourself. Most people, they haven't heard this, so they don't know how to stop and start thinking about themselves to think, what is wrong with me?
It's interesting because in the spiritual community, for years, and mostly because I realized, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually wanted to be a psychiatrist. And so that requires medical school.
Yeah.
And I love the study of the mind from a very early age. And so in the scripture, I tend to study the scriptures that speak to transformation.
Okay.
And so when you said that, immediately I started thinking about how we're instructed to take every thought captive. And if we have 70,000 thoughts going through our head a day, that can be a very difficult thing to do. And in your analogy you just gave, if 10 people say you look fabulous and then one person comes along and says, oh my God, that's not your color. The impact and the effect of us, again, having to think through those thoughts, which trigger more thoughts. So as a man thinketh, so is he. So we've got to be very in tune with our thought life.
Yes.
In order to be able to do this from both a practical and a spiritual perspective.
Yes.
So the awareness of self is something that many of us don't like to do. I remember being a young corporate woman, and I was always busy. I always had stuff going on. I always was like, what's next? I think I'm still kind of like that, so don't judge right now. I'm working on it. Yeah, I am. But what I think about is that I, in my life, came to a place where I finally slowed down and looked in the mirror, and I intended to do self-assessment.
Yeah.
But I did not like what I saw.
Well, yeah. Well, because you're not gonna like what you see. I remember doing a self-assessment. I mean, I do it all the time.
Oh, you have to do it all the time.
Believe me.
This will be a trained discipline you learn.
I do it all the time. However, when I did it on a real personal level, I didn't grow up with my father. My father was a philanderer. What does they call a philanderer? So he just kind of did his life like he wanted to do his life. He was an entrepreneur, which is where I got that spirit. He was a lot of things.
Wow.
And I remember the time hearing some things about my father, kind of seeing how my life played out, just some other things. I remember looking in the mirror and I said, you're just like your daddy.
Wow.
I said, the good, the bad,
and the ugly.
and the ugly.
Yeah.
Now, coming to that, because a lot of times, and particularly in your families, there's people that you just can't stand or whatever. There's a reason why, because you're probably a lot like them.
Very much
And
so,
what you're
yeah.
seeing or what you're hearing or whatever is something about it that you don't like, but people don't want to admit that. And so that was a really big deal for me. I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, all of the stuff that we said about my dad and this and that, and look at you, you're a lot. I could see. I just kind of went down the line and I said, wow, you're a lot like him. So does that mean he was all bad? No, because I'm not all bad.
Yeah.
But you got to know that you're not all good either.
You need to be aware of what
good.
is there.
You got to be aware so you can fix it.
Yeah.
So there was some stuff, but you know, I ain't going into all the details about why I'm like my daddy. So if my family.
But there's a lot of parental wounding. There's a lot of
Yeah.
family wounding because of the dysfunction that exists.
Well,
or
but
our circumstances.
it shouldn't be. So here's the thing that I try to get people to get off of their parents. Their parents,
But a lot focus.
nobody has taught anybody how to raise children. Nobody.
Yeah.
And even in the books, you know what the books, look, Dr. Spock and whomever else. Listen, let me tell you something, people. There was no manual for none of us.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Parenting is about what you took from your parents. That's what you know, or what you say, I'm not going to take from them.
Yeah.
So you're either going to try to be on the track that your parents were, or you're going to be far away from where they were. Either way it is, you're trying to figure it out yourself. And there's a lot of trauma in families, and then it's a pattern, and it's re-traumatized with every generation. And then people blame their life on their parents. And I try to get people to see their parent as a human being who brought life into this world, not knowing what to do with that life because they haven't figured out their own life.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. And so when people use, and not to say, because there's a lot of trauma that people do have to work through. I just don't want them to let their mother or their father build them into a person that they can't get out of.
And I think that's really important, because I know when I work with my clients, I often will walk them down a journey, a path, a very detailed data form, if you will. And the purpose of that is to revisit it for the last time so that we can determine the direction we need to go. But so many people get stuck on even identifying exactly what they've seen because they don't want to revisit it. So that self-assessment portion is so vitally important to moving beyond to that place of overcoming. And so as a psychologist and as a pastoral counselor, I think we've both seen a lot of people that have just gotten stuck. And most often it's because they will not acknowledge or even own that there is something that they need to move beyond. And I like the fact that we both help people to get beyond that place, because we've had to do it ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, getting unstuck. Yeah, it requires work. Again, we talked about that before. It requires work, but it requires very, and now, and so I want to tell people there's a difference in a life coach and in any other kind of coach. That not that that's not important, to have a place in life. When you're wanting to heal from trauma, you don't go to a life coach. That's not what you do. You go to a professional trained person, even in the churches. And I'm saying this because a lot of times in the churches, they don't have the professionally trained.
That's true.
It may be a minister, maybe a pastor, maybe something, but they're not professionally trained. They're going to give you the word of God because that's what they're experts in. But the expertise and understanding the human connection to your brain, your heart, what all of that looks like, it's a lot. And what I find and see out here that kind of makes me afraid for people is that people are having a lot of stuff going on, and they have conferences, they have this, they have that, and they open up these wounds and don't know what to do with them, and they don't close the people back up because they don't know what to do with them in the first place. So people can be on an emotional space and start to feel that, but then you leave and you're not because there's nobody there that understands how to take you on that journey of healing.
And it's important that we put a pin in that so that people will take note of it, because I know for me in Christian counseling, I've gotten my mental health certifications, and I almost feel more like a gateway where I help people get to the right. As a minister, a pastor, I feel like I'm a gateway to help people get to the right counseling.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it's so much out there. I'm going to tell the story real quick. So there was a certain reality show that came on, and I started getting calls after this reality show. And I didn't understand why these people were calling me, because I had nothing to do with the reality show. But the person was moving in a client coaching space that on the show, to me, traumatized people even further. But this was the thing as to why I was getting the calls. It's exactly what you just said, and I don't want to miss this point, because they were opening them up.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, it looked like they were all put back together again. Most of them that called, and I must have gotten on somebody's speed dial or go see her or something, I don't know what it was, but my heart was so heavy because the people actually were in a more devastated state after the reality show, because they opened them up so greatly, now with visuals that they've got to relive, causing friction within families. And now they're left to try to figure this out, and they had no idea what to do. We have to avoid that as mental health professionals.
Yeah, well, again, generally on a show, and there was one point even before Yana Fixed My Life, I did some pilots, and it was called Dr. G Makes House Calls.
Oh, wow.
And so, we took the concept from the talk shows, and I wanted to do it differently because at the time, Dr. Phil was the only psychologist that was on.
When you said that, I almost fell off the chair.
We don't want you to fall
I'm
now.
not going to fall off the chair.
Dr. Phil was the only psychologist that was doing that kind of work on the TV show, and I thought it would be more personal to go into their homes. And so we had about 5 pilots, I think we shot. Never came to, but it was one of the things on the journey. And so that was always the thing, because you're only getting this little short window here.
Yeah.
And, effectively, they should direct them. And I know a lot of it, on TV is for entertainment, it's for information, it's for all these things.
And they got to boost the rating, so they're going to get the good, dramatic,
they're going to get the clips.
Traumatic stuff.
But, even, with his show, they used to always, get them in counseling, further on, because when and people don't realize this when they're having all the conferences and all the stuff that we do, which is great. I'm not knocking it.
Right.
I'm just saying you got to be aware that if you start this, we're going to go through this healing, and now that's the big thing. People are doing this healing and all the great things. I'm thinking, how are you healing people if you're not trained to do so? So there's a lot, but I do give people the pat on the back for wanting that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So seeking that. And so I think what we're doing here is going to help. So we're going to reach the people we can reach.
Right.
Other people we reach who they can reach. At the end of the day, it's so much about what you do. Yeah. And when I said your success and the level of success you want is all about what you believe to be true. You believe you can be at another level. Right. At one point in my life, like I shared last time, I didn't believe I would ever be at a place that I would have joy again and all this stuff. And of course I did. It did start coming, but it wasn't, it was different. It was different. It was a journey. Understanding that, are you really happy with your life? And that's some of the questions that you have to ask yourself to get to the place. I want to go back to the thoughts. When I talked about the thoughts, let me also interject here that most of those thoughts are subconscious thoughts. So you're not even aware that the thought went through your head. So you don't even know you're thinking all those thoughts in one day. Or even as you watch the show, you're thinking a whole lot of things at one time. As you're looking at both of us, you could be thinking about our hair, our earrings, our whatever, while you're hearing what we're saying. So understanding with the thoughts, and as we talked about taking them captive, those intentionality about yourself and asking yourself these questions. And I always pose to people these 3 questions. Where are you?
That's good.
What does that look like for your life? Where are you in your life? You have to ask that question and you write it down. Where am I? You know, you put your age, you put all of this stuff wherever you are right now, this day in your life. Where are you?
And answer it honestly.
And when you write that down and then you say, where would you like to be? Now that is, so where are you? Where would you like to be?
Okay.
And the third question is, how are you going to get there? Those 3 questions right there, spiritually, financially, mentally, relationally, all of that.
All of that, yeah.
All of that. Yeah. Where are you?
So
where would you like to be?
Do you find that, because I know I have experiences, people, they want to answer the question, but they really want you sometimes to do the work for them.
What do you mean by
And what I mean by that is they want you to tell them, like, where am I and where should I be?
Well,
you're challenging to say you got to do this work yourself.
And see, so we probably have different
oh no,
group of people. That
look, they got to do the work. Look,
well, no. What I'm saying, when they come to you as a pastor, they are expecting answers. They're expecting you to answer questions for them, because they're questions they don't know, and it's generally relationally with God. And I don't understand this. When they come to me, they're paying money and they're saying, I'm tired, what do I need to do? So they're ready to do the work. They put that in, and it's like they know prior to my program that this is a journey and you're going to do the work, and they're ready. So they're like, all the self-work and assignments and everything that they have to do, they're going to get them done. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, because most of the people that I see, they want to they want to be different.
Well, I deal with a mixed clientele. I deal with the people within the spiritual realm only that you just identified, but I also deal with, because I have been a serial entrepreneur, and I have been in the corporate space, and they see the professionalism, but they see the spirituality. I do have another set of clientele that want to do the work, but in both spaces, every now and then, it's almost like, just tell me what to do, and that's not what we want to advocate. We want you.
I don't do that.
I probably get it more as a pastor, right?
I don't have anybody asking me, tell me.
No, I probably get it more like, please tell me, Pastor, what I need to do. What's the Lord telling you?
That's what I'm saying. So they come to you with that expectation.
They come with the expectation, but I'm just letting you know that you have to still yet do the work, even if you're in services and you're receiving the word of God. When's the last time you really just took that one message and really studied and broke it down and then looked at the actionable steps? We can have faith, but faith without works is dead. So the work for transforming your life, for you to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, requires you to push up your sleeves and to get in there and to make the adjustments and the adaptations that are needed, or the recalibrations that are needed actually in your life. We can't do it for you. That's I just wanted that to be a point, that we can't do it for you. So you start the self-assessment, and you've got to really own where you are. And you've got to be willing to evaluate where you are, so that we can bring about a corresponding change in what we've made normal a lot of times in life. A lot of times people say, well, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. Everything's perfect. That could be the normal that was created.
You talk to a whole different group of people than I do. God. I don't know. Nobody came to me to say, ain't nothing wrong with me in my life. Everybody come to me.
Wait, but that's kind of girlfriend talk. Like, have you ever had those girlfriends? Like, girl, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm like, oh, yes, there is, girl. Look, listen.
Yeah, I only had one girlfriend to tell me that one time, and I was like, oh, okay. Anytime somebody tell you nothing is wrong with them, that they can't find anything wrong, that's something that's deeper.
Did you hear that? Listen.
That's something that's deeper wrong, because I have people make out a list of 20 things, because at the end of the day, if you, that shows me who knows how to do that introspective work. Yeah. That introspective thinking about yourself.
And that's good. And that's good, because that's what we have to know how to do. Yeah. And so to push past beyond where we are, because real talk, people can pump you up so much you really don't think anything is wrong with you, right?
Wait
Wait a minute, hold on.
Wait. Let me see. Has that ever happened to you?
No, it's not happened to me.
I was getting ready to say, I ain't never been
in
pumped
general
up. No.
terms, I've seen people pump people up.
And you think that they don't think nothing's wrong with
Oh, yeah.
them? They narcissistic.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely
Yeah.
no. We ain't talking about that.
But we got to call it out
The
so
general
people can
population.
see what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Throughout life, wherever you are. It could be on your job. It could be in your family. It could be just interactions with, friends and associates and colleagues. I just want people to really open up their eyes of understanding.
Yeah.
I like to use that term, open up your eyes of understanding, and really see in a different capacity a perspective that a lot of times people will not acknowledge.
Yes.
Or even be willing to assess that this is where I really am.
Yeah.
And maybe that hit something in me real deep because we have to know those that are amongst us, right? And sometimes we just accept that things are when things can be a different way.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Look, I was still stuck on the people who just so pumped up that I'm like, listen, don't believe the hype. And I know that sometimes we think celebrities and people that we watch their lives. I'm only saying that. Some people in your own inner circle maybe. You should never believe the hype about you, positively or negatively. You can't. It has to be within. And not to say that thoughts don't get to you, because like I said, we have the negativity bias in our brain, and it is human to
don't
feel
miss that negativity bias in our brain. Wired that
our brain is wired like that. And so to overcome that, you really have to be intentional. I remember when I first started speaking years and years ago, we used to pass out the surveys, and because you wanted to gather testimonials about how great you were as a speaker.
Right, yeah.
And so, people would write on there, and they score you from 1 to 10 and could put their comments. And, I would collect all of these and how glowing it was, because, you want to measure yourself. And then, like I said, you get the 1 or 2, like she was just all over the place. I didn't understand what she was saying. And you're just like, it's like you forget all of what the other people say, and you go back and like, what did I say that confused them, And so, those are examples. But when it comes to the self-awareness and really the self-evaluation, that's hard. And because people don't know how to do it, and you're not guided through it, then it does become something that the missing piece. So you can never, using your word, overcome, or my word, recalibrate your life, because you haven't assessed.
Wow.
So these 3 things: where are you now? Where would you like to be? And how will you get there? Those are 3 questions to start out with, because as you see, that's nothing so deep like, we're not saying, was your life traumatic? I mean, because there's trauma test, and most all of us have experienced some type of trauma from in life, bullying. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Look, I was bullied as a child. It put me on a traumatic course. That's why I talk like I do, and why I'm a fighter, because I was bullied as a child and couldn't beat them up. But I can talk about.
And I was bullied, and I was like, sticks and stones may break my bones,
but that's not
words
true.
would never hurt me.
That's not true, and I don't know who thought of that.
Yeah,
words do hurt us.
They do hurt, but that's what I was trained.
I know
to
a lot
respond
of us was trained, but
back
then
to those
we got
bullies.
these traumas.
Yeah.
Because we didn't deal with the words that hurt us.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
But you know what? It's interesting you say that. It made you just step up and kind of like, what did you say? Become a fighter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was kind of like, oh, let me show you. I'm going to show you.
Look, little bitty thing can't beat nobody up. She couldn't show nobody nothing.
Nobody.
But she could. I became a fighter with my mouth and my words.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, let's go at it, And so, the trauma will do different things to everybody, and realizing that we all have experienced some level of something. And hearing the stories that we have started to hear from you guys, and we want them to keep coming.
Absolutely.
We like this. We're here to support each other in every kind of way that we can. So this has been just, I can't believe time just goes by so quickly every time we get
it really
on here.
does. But the goal is focusing on what you can extract at this very moment that you can immediately apply to your life. I think if we view each of our episodes or podcasts or the show with that mindset,
Absolutely.
it's like, what can I extract? What was said that could be helpful to me? Anytime I listen to something, I'm always listening for that one thing that I need to extrapolate from that speaker or that preacher so that I can make at least one adjustment.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what did you got to be self-aware to do that? Because if you think you all that, then you.
Yes, I don't think you're all of that.
That word wasn't for me. That was for my sister. That was for my brother.
But keep going, because there's something in there for you.
No, I know.
Even if it's building you up to become something even greater.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The positive that comes along with it. We're not saying that everybody has this pain pulse, but a lot of us have this pain pulse.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
And most often, the things that we do and how we respond in life is based on how that button is pushed in our life that causes us to react and respond a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You know what? We hope that you enjoy. I want to remind you again to subscribe. We want to thank our sponsors.
Yes.
Mega Women International, Dr. Marina McLean. We want to thank Kelly Winkett with Alternative Wealth Partners, and we want to thank Cheryl Smith with Texas Metro News. Women supporting women, women behind women. Please, please subscribe.
Subscribe and share
to this podcast.
Yes.
Share it. Go and join the Facebook group. If you have not, we go live. We have stuff in there that continues
within
this community to grow. So Vibrant Womanhood. And go to our website for the resources that you need. We have master classes. We have other things on there that can help you beyond these podcasts. Go to vibrantwomanhood.com and you'll find what you need there. So we love that you take your time and come to us so that we can impart into you anything that we can to help you on this vibrant life.
On this journey, I want to leave you with these words. We want to speak to the joy. We want to speak to the resilience that you have found in this journey of womanhood. But we also want to continue to encourage you to push beyond where you are and reach into that place of power, of transformation, healing, so that you can really live your best life, vibrantly shining each and every day. It's important, y'all.
Absolutely. Stay vibrant until the next time.